So today I'm going to talk about using the internet and the state websites as research tools in the performance of your jobs. And the internet and is a very, very valuable tool for all of us to use. Some terminology to begin with. There are different web browsers, and the web browser is what you use to connect to the internet and to use the internet. There is the Internet Explorer, which is almost a thing of the past anymore, because in the most recent version of Windows 10, the Windows Explorer has been replaced by Edge as the web browser. Initially, I didn't like Edge, but I've come to be able to use it and get along with it. Then there is the Foxfire, that is a web browser that many like to use, and it is a very good web browser. And then Google Chrome. Today we're going to use Google Chrome. Anytime that you're going on the state websites, Google Chrome and Foxfire are going to be your two best web browsers to use. They're the ones that work best right now with the state websites. So I'm going to bring up the Google Chrome. The other technical thing I want to talk about is the search engine. Search engines are the different software that you can use to ask a question or to research and on the internet. And some of those that are Bing is one of the Microsoft's products that they use. You have Yahoo, there's still the AOL, and then Ask.com. The search engine that I think that works best, that seems to come back with the better results on your searches, is Google. And Google is what we're going to use. So in the beginning steps to go to the state websites, there are a variety of different ways to get there. Just like most anything, there's more than one way to accomplish what you're setting out to do. But today we're going to use the Google and show you one of the ways that you can go to get to the internet or to the state website. So on Google, you could just simply type in in.gov, press enter, and that is going to bring you to the state's main web page. And this is where it all begins, with using these state websites. Obviously, you could bookmark each of these different state office websites. You can bookmark the in.gov and just click on your bookmark to go to there. But if you want to just have one consistent way of getting there, you can always just use Google, type in in.gov, press enter, and you're at this page. Once you're at this page, there is a menu that is across the top that has the different websites, state websites, grouped into categories. First, the business and agriculture, residence, government, education, taxes and finance, visiting and playing, and health and family. You can click on those, any one of those, and it's going to then bring on the left-hand side the subcategories under that general category. And as we go across here and we click on each one of those, you'll notice that they change. The government, education, taxes and finance, visiting and playing, the subcategories under there, health and family. So there is this menu. No, we don't want you. There is this menu across the top that you can use. Also, you'll see in the upper left-hand corner, there's this box labeled menu, and if you click on that, then it will bring as a listing downward on the left side these same categories that are listed across the top. Excuse me. Today we're going to use this menu listing here. I think hopefully it's a little better visually than using the one across the top, but both will get you to the same location. So we'll look, first website we'll go to under Business and Agriculture. Under Business is where the Department of Administration's website is listed. And then you can look down through here and can see all these other websites that have been grouped under the category of the business category. And so if you want to go to any one of those, and we're going to go to the Department of Administration, you would just simply click on that, and that will take you right to that, in this instance, the Department of Administration's website. One of the things, so the state purchasing and procurement, just general administration of the state, all those different functions that are part of the Department of Administration, you can research on their website. The one thing that involves us, I mean, there are many other things that involve us as county auditors with the Department of Administration, but one has to do with travel reimbursement, because now the travel reimbursements are being updated periodically, and the per mile amount, if your county is like mine, our travel reimbursement rate is tied to whatever the state rate is. And so we have to go take a look at this to make sure that our rate is current with the state rate. And so if you click on travel services, that will bring you to the location where the state of Indiana and Department of Administration posts their reimbursement rate. And so it has the lodging and airport parking, and the mileage rate. Currently, it's 38 cents. It's been 38 cents for quite a while now, but as this rate is updated, this is where you would find the new rate. So that, just to give you one example of how that you would use the Department of Administration's website. So now we're going to go to some other sites. So we can just simply click here once again on the menu up the upper left-hand corner. And now we'll go down to, we're going to skip residents. There really are very few categories there that would that we would have interaction with as county auditors. But we go to the government, and here under this category there are a couple different websites that we certainly are interacting with. The first one we're going to take a look at, and I'm going to talk about for a while, is the State Board of Accounts website. So under this category of government, under boards and commissions, we click on boards and commissions. This is going to bring up all the various boards and commissions that are part of state government, state administration. The State Board of Accounts, and these are all listed more or less in alphabetical order. The first one listed is the State Board of Accounts. And if we just click there, that's going to take us directly to the State Board of Accounts website. Hopefully you have been to this website, because there is a lot of information that you can get at the State Board of Accounts website. If it's been some time since you've been to this site, you really do want to go here, because you're going to find that there has been a lot of information added on their website that I think is personally, I think it's really great. The first home page, it just simply will list their mission statement. And it has here some comments about the accounting and uniform compliance guideline manuals and the updates, and they're indicating too there have been some updates to the different manuals, but in many of the manuals they've eliminated several different sections in those manuals, and the reason for that is that in their attempt to keep these manuals more up to date, they are now replacing those particular sections with providing you actually the Indiana Code sites where the information is, and they're keeping that particular area up to date as opposed to the manual itself. And then also down at the very last paragraph, they've indicated that they've got a new topical manual for information technology entitled Accounting and Uniform Guidance Guidelines Manual for Information and Technology. And it's been developed and it's applicable to all the taxing units. And it's a manual that's a companion with the internal controls standard manual. So that's a new manual that it's worth all our time to go take a look at, because it is a change and an update. So moving on, once we're at the State Board of Accounts website, we as county auditors, we're interested in looking at what's relevant for a county and county auditors. So the navigation to that is going to be selecting political subdivisions, scrolling down to counties, clicking on counties, and then that brings us to the main page for counties. This has some of the general information regarding the counties, but we as county auditors, we are specifically interested in county auditor, and so we would click on county auditor and to go to the page that's relevant to us as far as the county auditor. There's a memo dealing with the 1081 from last year about the local income tax. Under the overview, there's some information and description about the Office of County Auditor. And then there is the area for the chart of accounts and fund and account tables, and this will be where you would go if you're looking for the most recent information from the Board of Accounts regarding the chart of accounts. Then the subject that we all love and close to our hearts is internal control standards. You click on the drop down by the internal control standards, and this is where all the information is regarding the internal control standards, including the manual that's been developed, also the information for the federal Yellow Book standards and the required policy and certifications. I trust that everyone's already been to this page and is already familiar with the manual and what we're required to do for internal controls. The training, this is where the PowerPoint presentation that is part of the training that everyone that the internal controls applies to is required to watch and view that webinar, and then also the completion of the certificates. Under the Uniform Compliance Guidelines, this is where you would find the actual internal control manual, that information technology manual that was mentioned on the home page earlier, and then the specific manual for county auditors. And this is where you're going to find all that information, and the most current version of these manuals is going to be located here. So anytime that you're wondering what is the current manual and what does it have written about a particular subject area that you're researching, this is where you would go to find that. Probably more important, or just as important, but can be a, how do I say this? Better information requiring, dealing with a particular subject matter is going to be found under the bulletins, where they're going to more specifically address different topics and questions. So this area of bulletins, which is located once again under the Uniform Compliance Guidelines, bulletins, and you'll notice those drop down, the arrows. You click on the arrow, and that brings up all of the bulletins that are still current. The bulletins are retired, if you will, every 10 years. If there's a subject matter in a bulletin that is being retired, I probably should find a better word to use, I can't think of it right now. But if there is a subject area in the bulletin that it's going to no longer be considered current, but that particular subject matter is still relevant and pertinent for today, they will repeat that in the current bulletin. So it's always in this group of bulletins is the most current information on a subject matter. You say, Dan, okay, I see all these bulletins listed, but how in the world do I know where to go? Well, here at the very first line on the bulletins, you can select the bulletin you want by clicking on it below. Well, we may not know which bulletin we want, or you can search the index. This is where I always begin. I go and click on this, and this brings up the index. And then this index is in alphabetical order, and if there is a question about a particular subject that you have a question about, this is where I would begin, is in the bulletins under this index, and we would look up then the particular subject that the question is about. The other day by email there was a question being circulated about copy fees and copy charges, and so that particular question, you could go to copy fees. Here it has, okay, it says that's being addressed in Bulletin 370-7. So what does 370-7 mean? Well, it means it's in Bulletin number 370. The -7 means that it's on the page 7 of that particular bulletin. So we know 370-7 is where there's some discussion, we don't know exactly what yet, on copy fees. So we go back to this page and make sure we're still with county auditors. We are. And we click down on bulletins and we look for 370, and we find that the October 2009 bulletin is the volume 370. We click on that, and it told us that it was on page 7. So we scroll to page 7, and here it is, copy fees. So this tells you the IC code. This gives you some information about copy fees and what the parameters are as far as the charges for copy fees and so forth. And then it gives us the IC code, which I'm going to write down because we're going to use that in a moment when we go to the Indiana code to do research. Because if you're an accountant at heart and an auditor, you generally want to read it for yourself, and so this is no doubt, the correct information. But if you're dealing with your county attorney, or if you just want to read it for yourself, you'll want to go to the Indiana Code, and here in a moment we're going to go to how you research the Indiana Code on the web pages. So that's an example of how to use bulletins for research, and it's a very, very good, those are very good, quick way to get an answer to your question. Sometimes, though, you have a question that hasn't been addressed in a bulletin, and so then that's going to require further research, or you could just send an email to Shannon or Lori about your question and see and get some response. You'll get a response from them to help you with your research. But probably 80% or so of the time, hopefully higher than that, your question is one that's been addressed in a bulletin, and it's just a matter of going to the bulletins and researching that question. Here is the one part about the State Board of Accounts website that is just a tremendous improvement, in my opinion. And this is what was being referred to on the home page, where they indicated that there were sections that were no longer being continued in the manuals, but rather being replaced by this right here, by giving you the Indiana Code, and this is the part that will be kept up to date. So how to use this is by each of these topics, subjects, you'll see a drop-down arrow. You click on that, and that will expand that to then show then the subcategories under that general topic, and will give you then the specific Indiana Code site for that particular subcategory. And so if you have questions on deposits and investments of funds, as you can see, there are many different subcategories under that, and the different IC codes, and we will here in a moment be going to how you go to a specific IC code on the state's webpage. So this is a great thing here. There are a few other categories here. Electronic forms that you can use, the bidders form, calendar, I don't believe it's up to date. Meeting materials, hopefully you've been to this website and you've gone to this location so that you've got the handouts for today's conference or this week's conference. This is where those are, and in addition to that, there are the presentations from some recent conferences back to the fall of 2014. Under resources, this is a location where you click on these hyperlinks, and you will take you directly to these websites, Auditor State and DLGF, and the auditor our website and the AIC. If you have a comment that you would like to send to the State Board of Accounts about one of the State Board of Accounts staff members, you can do so here. And then at this drop down, the responsibilities under 511.127, this has to do with the losses, shortages, thefts of local funds, and part of the internal control requirements, where you're responsible to notify the Board of Accounts when there is a material loss or shortage in your accounting. Questions on the State Board of Accounts website? Okay, so now we'll go back to the menu again, and we're going to go back to government once again, and we're not going to go back to government. I want to go one other place first. Taxes and finance. Under tax is where you would find the Department of Revenue website. One of the things under the Department of Revenue website that you may want to take a look at periodically is under the tax library, where they have their directives and their notices and all other and reports and information. Going back to our menu, going back to taxes and finance, we go to finance. Go to the Auditor's State website, is under the finance, and here's where you can find information about the Auditor's State. Under departments, you could go to the Settlements Department, and this is where you will find that the information that is published by the Settlements Department, the Auditor's State. We go back to taxes and finance, to finance, Department of Local Government Finance. This is a website that I would think that most of you have been at too for information from the Department of Local Government Finance. One of the things I want to point out here is that the memos and presentations, the memos and presentations of the DLGF back to 2006 are all located here. So if there's a subject matter that you know that there was a memo issued on, or even if you wonder if there was a memo issued on, you can go here. You can use their search box to type in the subject, and you can do a search. So I typed in budget calendar, and so here, if you've lost your memo, or if you just want to use this to go back and to make sure that you're on track for this year's budget calendar, you can click on 2017-2018 budget calendar, and that brings up the memo that the DLGF issued regarding the budget calendar. Just one example of how you can use their memos and presentations. The other area where I truly hope that you've been is the area that is the county-specific information. And this is where the reports and information that the statewide reports are listed here, the reports that are relevant to all of us statewide, or if you want information about your county specifically, then you would click on your county, and then it's going to bring up the budget order or budget orders for your county, the various reports. For my county, the lit reports, and all the other various reports. The excuse me. The DLGF website is another website that has a wealth of information and can typically find answers to your questions in regards to budgets and assessments and the like on DLGF. Questions on DLGF website? Okay, we're going to go back to our menu. Now we're going to go to the under government. Under government is where the General Assembly website is. The General Assembly website is the website that is available to use to research legislation. Of course, this website currently has the 2017 session information, and on this first tab under information, it has a variety of different topics that you could read and research that you might have to become more, have a better understanding of the legislative process in the state of Indiana, and what are the Senate district maps, House district maps, so forth and so on. But under the session information is where I want to go next. And under session information, this has, for right now that the session is concluded, now is some very good information about the session that to help you with staying in tune with what changes have been enacted. And the first item we'll take a look at is called the 2017 Digest of Enactments. We click on that. Takes a little bit of time to load. This digest is a document that has a summary of all of the legislation that was enacted into law. And of course, it goes by starting with the House bills and in numerical order. And of course, the first bill that in that group is the House Bill 1001, which is the budget bill. The budget bill is a House bill and is most always, as far as I can remember, is numbered 1001 in the year of the budget. You can scroll through this, reading this, and if you want, or if you want to download, and this is true for everything on this site. When you bring up a document of any kind, hopefully you'll see my pointer there. There's a label download. If you click on download, then that is where it will start the download process. And I probably shouldn't have downloaded that bill, but we will look at download with a smaller bill. But that's so you can either scroll through, or you can download it and you scroll through it there, or after you download it, you can print it. Also part of this group is a document labeled Table of Citations, and this will give you listed in title, number, order, will give you the different statutes that have been amended in the 2017 session, and it will tell you that how it was changed, either repealed or amended, the section number of the legislation, the effective date, and then what the public law number is. This I will show you in a moment where this is very helpful at this time where we're at the end of the session. If you have a public law number and you're wanting to know, okay, what was that bill number, that there is a document labeled Public Law 2 Bill Number, and this will give you a list in numerical order of the public laws on the left-hand side, and then over on the next to it, it's going to show you. So for Public Law number 1 of 2017, that was House Enrolled Act 1230. And I will show you in a moment how we pull up a particular bill. If you know the bill number, there's another document labeled Bill Number to Public Law. If you know the bill number, but you need to know what public law it is, then you can look here as the bills here, Senate Enrolled Act number 1, that is Public Law 206 of 2017. So there are two different documents depending on what you know, how you can translate it either to the public law number or back to the bill number. Combined journals is something I don't think any of us would be interested in, but so that's some of the information that's under the session tab. Committees, that's more important if during session or when session is beginning. Now it's over, it's not so much of importance. Legislation, under that tab, This is a tab that's more used during the session than now because we have these other documents available to us. But under legislation, if we were to click on bills, that is bringing up then a list of the bills, and this is one way of pulling up a bill to take a look at. And I'm going down here so 1129 is a bill that dealt with the changes to the local income tax that was passed during this session. So I can click on that. Once we're at a bill, then over on the left-hand side are some options. Latest version, you always want to look at the latest version typically. This here, the next thing down is called the fiscal note, latest fiscal note. Myself, I find this document to be of value because this is a document. As a bill progresses through the session, there will be a fiscal note on the bill. There will be a fiscal note issued when the bill is introduced, and there will be a fiscal note as the bill progresses through the session and either changes during the session. There'll be a fiscal note. The fiscal note is a summation of the bill. It does give some narrative description of the bill and what the legislation is affecting and changing, and it also will then give you information on the changes in costs to the county, costs to the state, revenue to the local government, revenue to the state, and all of those aspects of the bill. So I personally like to take a look at the fiscal note of the bills as they progress. This, like everything else, is something that you can click on the download, and you can download this. And once you've downloaded, then you can scroll through and read it in this fashion. Or if you want, you can print it. Or if you're wanting to save it, you can download it and save it on your computer. So that is one way to go to a bill, is by clicking on bills, and you get the list of the bills. Another way is up here in this upper right-hand corner, there is a search. If you click on bills, then there's a search box that will appear, and you can enter the bill number, and it will go directly to the bill, and there again you have your versions, fiscal note, details, bill actions as you're going through the session. This is a good information here, is that you can see where is this bill in the process, amendments that have been made to it from the Senate and the House. If for some reason you had a need to go back to an earlier version of the bill, you can click on bill versions and you can go back to earlier versions of the bill. So before I go on to looking at the IC code, are there questions on researching and reviewing legislation using this website? Okay, we're going to go take a look at the IC code. So to do that, at the General Assemblies, I'm going to close some of this stuff. So on the General Assembly's website, there is the category of laws. Under there, it has the Constitution. You can click on that and go to the Indiana Constitution. There's the Indiana Code. There's such a thing as non-code statutes that are passed each year. If you click on that, you'll see the most recent one is for 2016. Will give you statute or legislation that was passed that isn't part of any of the Indiana statutes, but it is still law. In the current, if you were wanting to look at non-code statutes in the current session, that's where you would go back to this table of citations under the current session, and you will see that the very first listing is or are the non-code statutes, legislations. But going back to this, then the acts and the historical tables. We'll go to the Indiana Code. First thing I want to point out is you'll notice over here on the right-hand side, it says current 2016 session. That tells us that whatever statute we look up here is only going to be current through the 2016 legislative session. So to find we're in an interim period here. At some point in a few weeks, maybe a couple months, I'm not sure when, this will go away, and that will indicate to us that the Indiana Code that's posted at the General Assembly site is current up through the 2017 session. But right now, this is only current through 2016 session. So if we were to look up a code site, which we will, we'll go back and look at this one I wrote down earlier about copy fees. And if we look up this site, there are a couple different ways that you can research on this. You can go down here to where all these titles are listed, and you can click directly on one of these titles, and it's going to take you directly to the title, and it'll update this box here to that title. Or you can click on the down arrow, and you can go and select the title. This, I find it a little bit easier to do it this way rather than going down here, because sometimes for whatever reason this gets kind of jumpy and you think you've clicked on title 15 and somehow it jumped and title 16 comes up. Doing this search method seems to be a little more stable. So the Indiana Code that we're wanting to look up is Title 5, so we would select 5 here. The next thing is it's 514. 14 is the article number, so we would do the drop down, and we're going to scroll and find 14. Our code is 514.3. 3 is the chapter number, and so we click the down arrow, and we're going to select 3. Now that we're at the chapter, now the code site we're wanting to look at is Section 8, subsection D. So we can scroll through here and go to 8. Let it catch up with me. I'm going to show you a different way here in a moment, so you can decide which way you like best, but we'll do this first. Come on. Well, we're just at 3. Come on. Goodness gracious. Okay. So here we are at 514.38. And it was subsection D, so that we go to subsection D. And so this is the subsection that is applicable to us as a county, and where it gives us the, in writing in the statute about that the copying documents may not exceed the greater of the 10 cents per page that are not color, and 25 cents per page for color copies, or the actual cost to the agency. I think most of us have adopted 10 and 25 cents, but that's where that is in the statute. The other way we can get to that point is using the drop down. Is we click on the drop down, that brings up the section statute we were looking at, and as you can see, you can scroll through the drop down a whole lot faster than what we just did. This is how I always like to do it, is do the drop down. And there again, if for some reason that you want to either print this, you can print it, either all of it or whatever pages that you want to print, or by clicking on this drop download button, you can then save this to your computer, the statute. The other comment I want to make here is that go back to the top. If any of you have had any success with using this search tool in searching up things in the Indiana Code, I would love to hear how you've got this to work, because I have not had any success with that at all. And so if you figured out the trick to using that search, myself and I'm sure others here would really like to know. The other comment I wanted to make is, as I pointed out earlier, we have this is current as of 2016. So if we were looking up that 514.38 and we want to verify that what we just read is current, or to see whether or not it may be going to change here on July 1, we would go back to the sessions, and we would go to this table of citations, and under this, and I hope this download doesn't take forever. Good, it didn't. So under the table of citations affected, this is where we would go to that Title V. Here's the beginning of Title V. And we're going to go to 514.8, or no, 514.3, excuse me. 514.3, okay, here is 514.3 beginning, and we want to look through here, and we have 514.3.8, and it is being amended by Section 2 of... Well, that was a horrible example, but I don't know why that has no public law number. I was guessing that maybe it was the public law number that was listed just above that, but it's evidently not. But the point of that was that, and we'll figure out what's going on there. Well, wait a minute. Well, no. I don't know. That's crazy. But the point of that is that in order to make completely assured that what you just read in the code is the current law, you would need to, at this point in time, because of the fact that the Indiana Code on the General Assembly website is up to date through the 2016 session, you really need to go back and look at that table of citations to make sure there's not been an amendment or going to be a change or amendment to that particular statute in this 2017 session. Once the General Assembly website is updated with through the 2017 session, then we're good until we get to the same point in time next year after the 2018 session. And so it's during this window of time where the code at the website may not be the most current version of the code. So.